Now, I invite Mr. Rajesh from Dr. Reddy's, who is Head Digital and Business Process Excellence, Manufacturing and Quality, be sharing his experience on advanced technologies used in pharma with a special emphasis on industrial AI. Rajesh, stage is yours.
Good morning, all. Uh, I think it was the context setting is already done, is what I can say. I think it was an excellent session from Namita, where we got good context of what and how manufacturing is doing with respect to adopting AI and specifically GenAI, right? And she spoke about overall industry. However, when it's coming to pharma, probably the picture is a little more bleak. So, however, let's understand how it is. Also, she indirectly mentioned automotive industry is, of course, leading. Maybe they responded more in that survey. That's why we are able to see some places good score. So, with that, I would say, um, of course, there is a huge opportunity for pharmaceutical industry to embrace AI to to in order to automate the end-to-end business processes, right? Starting from R&D to manufacturing to supply chain to the markets, right? That's the opportunity that is there for every pharmaceutical manufacturing industry. Of course, pharmaceutical manufacturing industries is a laggard. However, trying to catch up. And in India, I think it's slightly even little more difficult. Few companies have had a very clear strategy, or let's say little long strategy of adopting digital. Somehow that's a picture. However, if we look at I'm coming from a company called Dr. Reddy's. If you look at Dr. Reddy's, is actually invested a lot, starting from 2010, long term for quite some time is what I would say. I'll come to details about that. However, the opportunity that every pharma industry is having is in the end-to-end supply chain, end-to-end value chain, starting from drug development, which takes a huge amount of time, typically 10 years for an innovator products, and typically around 3 years to 5 years for a generic company like Dr. Reddy's or most of the Indian pharmaceutical company. That's the amount of time it takes to come up with an equivalent innovator molecule. So that's where really the data comes into play, and usage of NAI, whether it is classical or GenAI, can make significant efficiency and to reduce the cycle time in a huge way. Right? And of course, as we know, regulatory compliance with respect to regulations, whether it is US, Europe, every regulatory agency, there is huge amount of scope that every pharma industry is having in order to be compliant with these regulations by adopting, actually, I would say nowadays more of GenAI, because as you know, we have say something called as we generate more papers than pills, right? That's the amount of documentation that we need to do, and because of the regulations that we are having, because we need to document every activity, every single step that we are doing in the shop floor or in quality control laboratory or every place. We'll have to document that. That's the, and because there's a lot of unstructured data, and then that unstructured data is with GenAI, we are having huge potential. Pharma industry having actually huge potential to utilize that unstructured data, is what I would say, to be compliant and to improve the efficiency. And of course, in supply chain, with AI coming into various places, for supply chain, there is again huge disruptions can be made. However, I would also like to mention, as Namita mentioned, process automations or task automation. This has been the focus. Why? Because specifically in manufacturing is what I would say, because we need to manufacture, right? Manufacturing is actually physical activity. or when it comes to pharma, for generating documentation or processes or investigations or executing tasks, that is where specific places where process automations or task automations were specifically created or use cases were identified, and of course giving huge benefits. So what I would like to cover is, what are the, not just AI as a specific technology, overall industry 4.0, and what all the technologies available, and how manufacturing, or specifically pharmaceutical manufacturing industry is adopting those technologies, and how some of the real world, what's happening, what are some of the use cases that, of course, the industry, overall industry, what industry is doing, and specific to Dr. D's, what Dr. D's is doing. That's what I would like to cover in the overall next 15 minutes. So, I think, yeah. So, as I mentioned, end-to-end value chain, that's where we can actually adopt the overall industry 4.0 technologies. And in the overall drug life cycle, as I mentioned, it's a huge time gap, sort of time duration. When we say about a drug life cycle, for development, it's about a minimum is 3 years. And then drug life cycle is all about maybe, of course, any drug life cycle is more than 20 years. Right? So in the overall management of life cycle, this one great technology that can be used. And what is that it is coming up with, right? So of course, we are able to, when it comes to manufacturing, we are able to understand exactly what is happening at that moment of time by doing real-time analytics. We are able to get the correlation exactly which parameter causing what, and we are able to take decisions, or we are able to automate that decision making by giving a feedback loop to the machine, so that machine is able to control the activities automatically. We are also able to predict what's going to happen. Let's say when we are having this kind of automation, we are able to predict exactly what the quality looks like, rather than testing and finding out what exactly the quality, with the data, with understanding the processes very well with data, and by getting that control strategy, we are able to predict what's the quality output going to be, so that we don't have to test and find out what exactly the quality going to be. As I mentioned, generative AI specifically in pharma, huge amount of documentation, huge amount of unstructured data. That's where I would say Gen AI is coming really handy. Would like to will not just POCs, we also have some use cases, successful use cases, or some pilots going on. And then of course one of the clarity, or let's say the strategy that we adopted is, first the question, before we adopt any of these technologies, what's the value? Everything is value driven, no spend for fancy things. That's an absolute no for us. So there are of course a lot of researchers. I'm not getting to these numbers. Of course, we also understand ChatGPT is actually in loss. Our consultants are is making a lot of money. That's a different thing. So these are some of the use cases. So these are some of the use cases where I would say these are organizations or pharmaceutical companies around the world. These are innovator companies. They are having lots of use cases in various places of a pharmaceutical industry. I'm not getting into each of these use cases. However, I'm covering some little detail into Dr. D's use cases. And there is significant value also able to generate by pharmaceutical industries by adopting these kind of technologies. We discuss with many of these innovator companies, also a lot of colleagues. So we understand how each of these companies are actually able to generate value from adopting digital technologies. So now getting a little bit into let's say technology by technology. When we talk about, I'm not sure it's legible in the back. Sorry for I undermined. So when we talk about machine learning as one of the technology, right? The first technology that we're going to talk about is, it's all about getting the correlation between multiple parameters. So we are talking about when we are manufacturing or when we are doing R&D, we are talking about thousands of variables with thousands of data sets, right? And then it is absolutely impossible for a human to make such kind of correlations, and that is where machine learning is actually coming and helping us to come out with all potential possible correlations, and then a functional expert is trying to find out what exactly is making sense for us and take proper actions in order to correct what's going to happen. So, and with that, of course, there are, we, Dr. D is also having a lot of use cases, whether it is in R&D or in manufacturing, where we are able to make significant improvements in our manufacturing operations or KPI improvements. And then next is about artificial intelligence. So where it's getting into when machine learning is of course one of the subset of larger artificial intelligence that now we talk about classical AI and Gen AI, where NLPs or such kind of technology is coming into is what we talk about artificial intelligence, and then generative AI, as Namita spoke about a little more detail. There are again so we know what kind of possibilities are there using Gen AI. However, I would like to focus a little bit more on the unstructured data. Of course, video creation or picture or image or voice. That's a different technology is actually used very well for in the marketing space is what I would say when it comes to pharma. For manufacturing, our focus is more on utilizing unstructured data. And digital twins. This is another technology that we use predominantly. One section, or maybe we can say a little bit of AI or let's say data-driven decision making, where we simulate various aspects, whether it is product, a line, a manufacturing line, or a manufacturing plant, or an end-to-end value chain or supply chain. These are the simulation possibilities where we are able to take decisions based on, let's say, for product or a line, let's say what kind of automation making sense for improving efficiency in a particular line or in a site in order to increase the throughput or output from that particular plant. And let's say where we need to clearly focus, and also what kind of real capex investment is required. But you can take such kind of decisions by simulating, actually using data. These are some of the technologies that we use. And comes to computer vision. Computer vision, as a technology, little bit of augmented reality or virtual reality. That's the technology that we are talking about. I'll cover about some of the use cases. Predominantly used for training, and also for little bit of maintenance or remote monitoring purposes. This is what is the technology being used. And of course, IoT. When we talk about manufacturing shop floor, we are talking about thousands of sensors. Thousands of sensors and data getting streamed every second or every 10 seconds. So that's what we talk about real-time data monitoring. So that is what every equipment or every operation, when you go to a manufacturing shop floor, you will be able to see thousands of sensors or thousands of data is getting collected in a real-time basis, and how it is getting utilized to take decisions. And then coming to robotics on automation, of course, in the manufacturing shop floor, in the packaging shop floor, you might have seen lift and placing any articles is actually it's a given thing nowadays. However, this is where we are also making some innovative things now. A technology called as cobot. How using cobot, the human physical activities can be automated. Right? That's where we are actually, Dr. D is making some of the innovative things is what I can tell you, is in quality control shop floor or laboratory, in the manufacturing shop floor, we are making some of the innovations there. And last technology I would like to mention is about blockchain. Couple of, or maybe few organizations in pharma specifically created a consortium. We are yet to identify use case, clear-cut use case for this. Our, for cold chain monitoring is what some of the places, some of the companies are actually using this technology. So what are the challenges? Of course, we all know data, right? Data, we need to have very clear strategy for handling data, and that has to be from starting from scratch. Now, it's difficult, very difficult if we do not have data, all data in a one place, or maybe we'll call it as data lake, something like that, right? So it is very, very important to bring data from multiple systems and to a central place to make meaningful end-to-end decision making. So, and of course, regulatory complexity, anything we touch in manufacturing, of course, for pharma, is anything we touch, we need to go through a process of validation and to generate a lot of documentation that this system is working clearly well. And then making changes, let's say fine-tuning those things, systems, whatever we make, is again difficult. It's actually coding, we say it's coding is, or let's say doing a configuration by doing a click is 1 minute activity, but to put that into production system, it'll take 1 month, because that's the amount of validation documentation that we need to generate. And that's the complexity that we are having when we're talking about regulatory complexity. And of course, a lot of legacy systems, manufacturing facilities, there are old manufacturing facilities. Now we're talking about data generation, may not have sensors, we need to sensorize them, and we need to bring into use. And then now talking about, let's say, GenAI, early steps, of course, in our day-to-day life we are started using, but when it comes to operations, right, there are of course a lot of fears that we need to handle with significant amount of change management. As Namita mentioned, yeah, that's how we are getting into in the future outlook about how the technology is going to evolve. Now we are talking about Industry 4.0. Now it's going to be 5, and then then we are talking about multimodal AI. And of course, this is came up, and this is what is becoming more data. How can we utilize more data and to use AI to get meaningful insights? And some of the pharma companies are actually thinking now new startups. That's how we see, right? And then from day one onwards, digital manufacturing. That's how new players are thinking about. And of course, how companies will get into create, let's say, small language models she mentioned about, or let's say, creating AI scalable AI platforms by creating very specific their own data sets, or the specific models. Now coming to Dr. Reddy's, I think I've got 5 more minutes, right? So what is Dr. Reddy's doing? So we got an industry overview. Now coming to Dr. Reddy's, right? So we drive all our business, or let's say we drive our purpose is to accelerate affordable medicines across the world. And we, as of now, we serve 708 million patients around the globe, and our target is to reach 1.5 billion patients by 2030 with affordable medicines. So that's a purpose that we drive with. And then how we are in the digital space, how Dr. Reddy's is specifically manufacturing, how does Dr. Reddy's is working on this. That's what I would like to take you through. So we started an initiative in 2020, called something called as Ops Next. That's taking the operation to the next orbit. That's the term behind Ops Next. And here it was, we took one plant where we were facing business challenges with respect to, in pharma industry, the phenomena is all about price erosion. We face price erosion as a phenomena 7 to 10% every year on year. That's significant. So what will happen is over the period of time, the product that we introduce into the market will become a commodity. So difficult to be sustainable with such kind of prices or things like that. So that's where, for a specific plant, one of the largest plant in India, manufacturing plant, where we decided to put or use Industry 4.0 technology. So of course we had the core digitalization done, and then all the processes were actually digitalized. That's where we felt now Industry 4.0 technology will be able to help us in improving the business operations. That's where we started something called as Ops Next. specifically only focusing on industry 4.0, adopting industry 4.0 technologies and creating business value. And we were really successful. We were able to create 40 plus digital analytics use cases at, in the end-to-end of manufacturing in various places. And then this is something called as World Economic Forum, digital lighthouse, right? So World Economic Forum is actually promoting manufacturing organizations to adopt industry 4.0 technologies, and to do that, one of the certification is called as digital lighthouse. So they come, they verify, they do audit, and they look at what kind of challenges that a company took, and how many there are various measures of technology, use cases, people, change management, various aspects of digital transformation is what they evaluate. And then we got, glad to announce that we got Digital Lighthouse certification in the year 2022. We are one of the first pharmaceutical company in India to get such an recognition. And from there, we realized, as we realized the potential, leadership is, realize the potential, and that's where we were able to, we started our journey of scaling up to all our remaining manufacturing sites. We actually operate with 18 manufacturing sites in India, and we are in process of adopting, or in a large scale, these use cases, whatever we developed at this site, we are in process of scaling it up. And of course, as we progress, right now, we are in process of creating a very specific strategy for manufacturing. Next strategy, that's what we're talking about, vision for 2030. And as we understand how every manufacturing industry is investing in such kind of technologies. So some use cases, maybe I would cover from the top right, couple of AR or augmented reality or virtual reality technologies. We use it for actual execution, not just for training, right? We actually use it for people in the shop floor, for people to execute. So people are able to execute, let's say, when they are doing their activities with hands, in the physical world, they are able to, as I mentioned about documentation, they are able to document using either QR code or OCR or by speech. That's the execution possibilities that we had created. We have multiple use cases on that. That's available for people in the shop floor. And coming to advanced analytics, AI ML, that's the classical AI is what we call, for improving the yield, identifying what failures, what causes what kind of failures. These are multiple kinds of investigation that we are able to do using data. And the amazing thing is that you are able to understand your product, your processes very well using data. Data is showing you something you never, you would have never thought about. And we are about 15 analytics use cases, AML use cases in that area. And coming to industrial or IoT related use cases, where we wanted very specific, like all our manufacturing operations are sensorized. However, we wanted some specific data sets where I would say stoppages, minor stoppages, where we introduced such kind of technology, and then we are able to get real-time information why stoppages are happening, and then how can we reduce the downtimes, how can we reduce stoppages, what interventions need to be done, etc. is what we are able to do with IIoT use cases. And coming to process automation or process digitization automation, we are talking about technologies such as robotic process automation, where we are able to mimic human activities that human is performing on a screen. Physical robots, one technology, or robotic process automation, I'm talking about in the people who are doing activities in the various screens of various systems. So as we produce a lot of data, we always need to have 4 eyes principle, because one is doer 2 eyes, and then reviewer another 2 eyes. So reviewer activities is actually laborious and cumbersome. Then that's where we felt robotic process automation can be used to automate the review activities. And then we were very, very successful in making such kind of activities, because it's very routine, logic driven, or let's say rule driven, and we are significant time reduction plus productivity improvement in that area. And coming to something called as digital performance management. As we have data for all the core systems or manufacturing systems that we have digitalized, now we are able to get what actually happening in shop floor in the real-time basis. And people are able to plan the next activities on an hourly basis or half an hour basis, and also able to predict what's happening, or able to see what's happening their lean daily management activities. We are able to do, rather than talking to people or calling, etc., or getting information from people, we are able to see with real-time dashboard, the lean daily management. That's an important activity in shop floor. This happens with real-time data. And coming to digital twin, as I spoke about simulations, product simulation, the line simulation, plan simulation, where I would say, let's say if I'm getting a plan for next 1 year, 2 year, am I able to produce within the available capacity that I'm having? Such kind of simulation is what I'm able to make, and I'm able to make decisions. Okay, this is where actually we need to add a component of an equipment, or maybe this line may not be suitable. We probably will have to take decisions, or make versus buy, or shift this product to another sites, etc. This is a plethora of use cases. That's what I explained when I spoke about the 40 plus use cases that I mentioned. Multiple use cases. Now I'm talking about manufacturing, in quality. Of course, these are some of the internal names. Sorry for that. Maybe just to give a little bit overview. First three things is actually first four use cases actually about how manufacturing line is operating and how we are able to simulate in the manufacturing line, end-to-end manufacturing shop floor. Right. And next is about AMBLE, right? That we call it as 4-hour maintenance. It's our preventive maintenance, breakdown maintenance, predictive maintenance platform. That's what we call it as AMBLE.ai, a significant benefit in order to make the machine to increase the uptime of the machine. So that's how we are able to use this one. Digital LDM that I spoke about, online overall equipment effectiveness is what we are able to monitor, and plant visibility plus IPQA is something in process quality assurance. So when it's coming to quality, right? Quality is of course it's a very important business for us, or the business part of the business process. And there are again significant number of use cases where we are actually able to focus on product robustness using data. And coming to supply chain, and this is what is on the right side is about supply chain, end to end, starting from planning, scheduling, and that's what we are able to do this with optimizer algorithms. There are complex requirements, multiple optimizers is what we use in order to schedule or to plan the manufacturing, or the larger SNOP plus the manufacturing scheduling, packaging scheduling, and quality control scheduling, and together we get actually the output, the plan from output from each plant, right? And we are able to link that whatever output we are getting in a predictable way. We are able to link with the logistics piece, and that is where we are able to in advance we are able to book the container that is required for logistics or transport, and we are able to save a significant amount of logistics cost. And also we are able to ship in a much better way. We are able to do rather than doing air shipment, we are able to do sea shipment, which we are able to reduce significant cost. So concluding, so it's we understand this power. We are in the end-to-end value chain. We are able to reduce our cost. We are able to improve quality, compliance, and efficiency in much better way. We are becoming much more predictable. We are aware of what's actually happening, and we are able to take right decisions at right time, right? And then with GenAI, I didn't get into detail of GenAI, what exactly we are doing. Our Copilot, of course, is one of the biggest assistant for every task that the different individuals are doing. We call it as different assistants. Whether it is a legal assistant, I think probably there are reasonings or good models that are there for, which is suitable for various types of jobs, whether it is in marketing, legal, finance, or quality, investigations. So that's how we created various assistants. And for each persona, the assistants are able to do much better job. And then we created standard prompts so that people are able to use those prompts in their day-to-day life, in every activity that they are doing. And we, of course, need to have clarity, right? And then actually, we are talking about what I mentioned is we'll start with value first. What actually we are trying to solve, what opportunity we have, and then invest or then take decision on doing certain things, right? And then, of course, we need to build the core infrastructure. We spoke about data, digitalize the core, build data platform. Then you are able to scale from using all these kind of technologies, right? Thank you. And these are some of the references that I picked up.
Thanks, Rajesh, for your very insightful presentation on the pharma industry.